Dotty formed Summerfield Associates Incorporated in July of 1989. After more than 10 successful years in the business, she attained Certified Personnel Consultant designation in 1993. The Tennessee Association of Personnel Services recognized her many times as a top producer in her field, and in June of 1991, she was named as a charter member of the TAPS $1 Million Circle. In July of 1996, she was awarded one of the first $5 million Circle designations. In October 1999, she received the Norbert I.B. Free Ethics Award from the National Association of Personnel Services, honoring her as an outstanding leader who has led the industry to a higher ground through innovation, vision, and positive enhancements. In July 2005, Dotty was recognized as one of the 50 women who make a difference by Memphis Women's Magazine. For 4 years, she was regional.
You're gonna have to stop here, she's not gonna have much time.
Oh my goodness, director for the National Association of.
Okay, enough.
Yeah.
Give that last part of it.
Oh, wait a minute, it just goes on and on. She
I
is.
know, that's why we want to give her a chance to talk.
Okay, well, she has continued to serve many offices, chairperson. We are so lucky to have you here, Dotty. Thank you for coming. Let's give it up for Dotty.
All right, guys, we got a total of after that introduction, you got 1 minute
1
to
minute
talk,
to go.
and then you'll hear the bell.
You guys,
Can I go without a mic? Let me know.
Yeah,
Should be fine, yeah.
Okay, fine.
We'll turn it off.
Hi, guys, thank you very much, Lynn. Oh, dude, give me 3 minutes. So when Lynn invited me, and both of you invited me to come speak this morning, for those of you who don't know, I own Summerfield Associates. It's a local recruiting and consulting firm. I've been in the business for 40 years. My company celebrates 30 years in June. So, anybody trying to hire anybody? Then we don't need to talk. I'll go home. You are hiring. I've got some handouts for everybody to take home. I never give them out now because all you do is read and you won't look at me. Can't stand that. So, anybody know what today's unemployment rate is? 3.7%. We are probably the oldest people in the room. I've never seen it so low, ever in my life.
Really?
I wouldn't talk Dotty about Rodney like that.
So when unemployment is this low, I don't know about you guys, but most of you who are not used to doing what I do every day are having a difficult time finding the right person to come to work for you. So the old habits that we used to do about posting and praying, I understand posting and praying, out the window. It's gone. When I started recruiting a long time ago, I started with a 3x5 index card file, and I had one for my companies and one for my candidates, and I had a black dial 3-button phone and the yellow pages. Someone asked me how I got started, and I said I had black and white and yellow training. I had the yellow pages and I had my black phone, and my boss would come in and say, here's a resume, you get the resume and interview, you get another one. Oh, it's an insurance secretary. Opened up to the eyes, called every insurance in town. Oh, then you need a secretary? Cool, I'll send Freddie out to see you. Well, those days kind of came and went, and my industry and your industry forgot how to make phone calls and forgot how to talk to the guy behind you in the grocery store or the person sitting next to you on the bus or the plane. And you thought everything happened with your fingers, on a phone, on the computer, and posting it. And guess what? There is so much chatter and so much stress out there and so much junk going on out there that the candidate that you want probably isn't going to listen to you. And unless they're really adept at working those job openings out there, they're probably not going to find you. How long have you been looking for somebody?
Well, I actually hired 4 people last week.
Congratulations. Wow. How did you find them?
I did what you just said, post and pray.
So, networking. You and I are network freaks, madam. We've been doing this for a long time. And networking to us doesn't just mean going to meetings like this and sitting and talking to your buddies. Networking means what I do all day, every day, which is to pick up the phone and call you and say, I've got a position for such and such. You are in this industry, do you know somebody who's looking? So for those of you in a type who are looking for candidates now, you need to look in places that you didn't look before. We'll talk about where the candidates are. Let's talk about hiring process. How quick, so you hired 4 people last week?
Yes.
You
Yeah,
interviewed
but that
them?
process took a lot longer than that.
Okay,
Yeah, so I started looking for one of them at the first of the year,
Mhm.
and it took till yesterday, I trained her for the first day.
okay. So most of you are in companies, I don't, if you have a hiring process where you post it, you go through the resumes, pick up the phone 2 weeks after you get the resume, you call them and say, can you come in for an interview next week? That's great, I've got 3 more people to interview, and I'll let you know in 2 weeks. And you call them back in 2 weeks and say, I'm sorry, I did your job last night. So what we're seeing with our clients, and we're telling them this, and the ones that are listening to us are able to hire people. The old ways of hiring have now gone out the window. You need to be prepared when you see somebody and you interview them, you need to be prepared to make them an offer fast. It's gonna blow a lot of your hiring processes out the window. You drug screen them, background check them, you reference check them, make them a conditional offer. We have had 3 candidates turn down offers that came a day late. I interviewed with a company yesterday, they made me an offer in the chair. So pick it up and be prepared, which means get your offer letters ready and be prepared to streamline your hiring process. Salaries. Anybody hasn't noticed, salaries have gone a little wacky. Not as crazy as people wanting good benefits. How many of you are trying to offer people positions and you don't have benefits?
No, definitely don't.
You don't have them. It's tough, and it's gonna get tougher. Yes, we all know that if you've got 50 or more employees, you're mandated to have benefits. I'm a little bitty company. I got 6 employees. I got 19 or 25 contractors, and they don't have benefits. Our clients that offer lousy benefits are getting turned down faster than clients with low salaries. And that's hard. For those of you who are hiring people at less than, it's 3 times the minimum wage, anybody hiring that level?
Yeah.
Take a look at the Church House Center. We do this for ours that are making below the poverty level, and it's fabulous. It's $25 a month. It's not real insurance. It's not an Affordable Care Act approved plan, but it's something to give the minimum wage or near minimum wage worker, and it's awesome. It's not like it used to be. It is great. There are doctors all over the city that they can go to, and it's a godsend for people who've never had insurance. It's wonderful.
Do they have to be W-2? Do you know?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
do.
'cause they do,
They do have to be W-2.
because they look at your income.
You could be a 1099.
You can be a 1099,
You
but
just
they
need
do
to
look
bring
at your
it
income.
to
You've gotta
state.
be under, is
Yeah.
it 2 or 4 times? I can't remember.
You have to be under 21,000 for
Under
a single
21,000.
person.
Right, for
Because I
single.
sent somebody over there from my church,
Yes.
and he got laid off, and we had a co-sponsor for him for $25 a month. It was
So-
cheaper to buy an Aflac for him.
It
And
is-
he got about the same coverage.
And it's wonderful.
He's locked in on them, though.
Yeah. And I think it's $50 a month to add family to it too, so you can cover children or spouses or whatever.
And then it's like 6 or 7 locations.
They are. You don't have to just go downtown, but they do offer eye care and hearing and other
Before-
specialized services down at Crosstown Concourse. So take a look at that for those of you who need benefits for your lower income wage people. Let's talk about the application process and hiring people. So you post and pray. Who else is hiring?
We're hiring, but it's not the same people probably that you're hiring, that you're representing. We don't really know where to look for people. People just seem to come, like we did hire somebody just today, he came in today, but word of mouth.
Good.
But for a landscaper that makes $12 an hour?
Yes,
Where do you look? I mean, I don't know. Where?
churches. Start in places that you wouldn't think. Start at the faith community.
Okay.
Agencies, nonprofits.
Some of the not-for-profits, I would look at WIN, Workforce Investment Network, if you've never used, they're not called that this week, Workforce Investment Network, and I can give you a name of that.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
Believe it or not,
And can you hire people who have been,
no problem.
well, some of the not-for-profits, but can you hire people who've had a felony or who've had any kind, there is a outreach group, and my brain just quit, because that does help people who've been incarcerated to come back into the workforce.
We probably said we never discussed it.
No,
It's a sister agency to WIN office. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
People at WIN can hook her up with that too.
WIN can too, the Workforce Investment Network. And
They're a
I've got-
sister agency with them.
I recommend asking in events like this. The personal assistant I hired came from an event just like this. She literally chased me down, when somebody told her I was looking for a personal assistant. She literally chased me down at that event, and then she chased me down on Facebook. The rest of my people came through a very specific group on Facebook who I knew would potentially have the skills that I was looking for.
Facebook is an interesting place to post, just to say anybody out there. For those of you, Home Depot and Lowe's probably has a list of people who've asked for jobs in the garden center. I don't know if they'd let you post your job or just put a sticky on their board.
That's a great idea.
But I would think Home Depot, Lowe's, I don't think you're gonna get them at places like, not the garden center, not the big garden centers down on Hex Cross or those guys.
Oh, like
'Cause they-
Dabney or somebody.
Yeah, they probably have their own people. They may know people
That's
that.
true.
Yeah, they may know somebody that's looking for.
Yeah, they could know that somebody's looking for them.
That's a good idea.
But look in different places and then check into the faith community, because most of your inner city churches are going to know people who are out there. In my work with the chamber, the Greater Memphis Chamber, we're taking a look at alternative workforce for a lot of things. Who else is looking for somebody a little bit different?
Must sound different. Hopefully within 12 months I can start hiring from my start. I have
Okay.
no clue from, because I always done 1099 work as IT.
Yes, you have.
And I always done that, so I know there's this expense we could add on. I heard anywhere from $15,000 to $5,000 to hire somebody.
What are you gonna be
Like
doing?
tax, I do video streaming, so I need somebody that knows video,
You
audio,
can still
and networking.
1099 that.
Huh?
You can still 1099 it. Do you get going?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and it's like, how do you do that process, how you find somebody, how you handle all that paperwork, what legal questions you can ask or not, and all that.
That's a whole nother issue for those of you who are hiring the first time, the whole legal issue thing.
Because I've never done that side.
There are gonna be a couple of seminars coming up on hiring. There's a
Okay.
local Society for Human Resource Management. For those of you who've never hired before, take a look at their website. You can call me. You can help them with that on hiring. It's just about as,
I
and the,
just went through the process.
and the
See how my
pitfalls.
process went.
Yeah, there are interesting pitfalls when you're hiring the first time
Mhm.
about what you can and you can't ask. You know, you can't ask about age, you know, you can't ask about religion, you can't say to somebody, are you married? You can't ask
Right.
them about their children. You can ask them about a whole lot of other stuff. Until you make an offer. And then that's a whole difference. But if you're 1099 them, it's different. Well, once you make them an offer, especially if they're gonna be on your payroll and you're big enough to have insurance, then there's a whole other set of questions. There is a move afoot
Mm-hmm.
across the country about asking about convictions and felonies and arrests. To tell you what the EEOC says now about those questions. You used to be able to say, if you're gonna come to work for me, you can't have had a conviction in the past 7 years. About 18 months ago, that changed across the country, and you're not supposed to do that any longer. Every conviction, every arrest is supposed to stand on its own. And I asked our good friend Joyce Margulies, who was the chief employment attorney at International Paper, I said, why? Why can't I do that? She said, here's a good example. A a 47-year-old man comes in to interview for a job at your company, big company, and everybody loves him. He is drop dead perfect. And when the team takes him to lunch, Human Resources decides to Google him. And they find out he's got a record. He was convicted of murder. And they go, you can't hire him. Rule is this. You gotta bring him back in and say, explain this to me. Tell me what this conviction is, because it's just showing up on your record. And he said, that's correct. I was convicted of murder. I killed a man that was raping my sister in front of me when I was 17 years old. I did my time. I've been a good citizen since I came out of prison. Would you hire me now? No. So everything is supposed to stand on its own. When you do a background check, and for those of you who are hiring, if you don't spend the $35 with my friend and do a background check on every single person you hire, it's foolish. It's $35, it comes back quickly. Drug screen, background check are the smartest $50 to $70 you're gonna spend ever. So anytime anything comes back, you're supposed to bring him in and say, explain this to me. We had this about a month ago with the county. Yes, ma'am.
So would you 1099 background check? All your 1099s background check?
I wouldn't hire anybody
Yeah.
that I, 1099, you're hiring a corporation. They're supposed to have their own insurance. They're supposed to have all of their own stuff. If they're going to work for me on site at my client, I still do it.
Okay.
I still
Is
do
that
it.
a website, Dotty, or is that just, when you do the background check, is that through somebody in particular?
I, not to plug a local company, but a locally owned, female-owned company, DataFax.
Dana Howard?
I don't know, I use Daphne Lawrence at DataFax for my background checking. She's wonderful, she's fast, it's quick, one county's about $35.
So if you run a daycare and the person who's applied for the job is a known child,
No, you can't hire them.
well, I know you can't, but so you run the background check.
Well, daycares, there are certain industries that have got certain rules.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
how do you explain
And
that?
we do work for, companies that send people into homes. I mean, you've got the same thing with landscaping, you've got the same thing, who else?
We do painting.
And with painting. And then you've got to look, you have rules that, you can't have a theft conviction, you can't have this. And though, that's fine and dandy, but for normal stuff, if they're gonna be touching money, you don't want somebody who's had a bad check charge or a bankruptcy.
Or slick
If
hands.
it's the legal wording is if it's a bona fide occupational qualification. So if they're gonna be involved in something specific, then you can
Say no.
you can say no.
Say no.
You can say no about stuff like that. And we had a candidate tell us a couple of months ago, he said, if you run a background check, this is gonna show up. He said, but I was in the middle of a nasty divorce. My now ex-wife went down. She accused me of all kinds of stuff. None of it was true. There were no convictions. It was showing up as just on his record as existing. And he said, it's gonna go away in 2 weeks. So you can report convictions, or you can have a background check that shows you everything. It's very interesting. But you're gonna still have to do it fast. Yes, sir.
Dotty, I was gonna ask you, let's say that one of us here is looking at hiring somebody.
Yep.
And then it's kind of questionable here which direction we need to go. How would you handle it, say, if we were to call you and say, Dotty, here's my predicament, and is there a charge for that particular, where we could actually have your input onto whether it be a good decision or direction we needed to move?
I'll be happy to help you do that. A lot of you who are hiring for the first time are probably gonna look at attempt to perm or attempt to hire, where you're gonna rent them before you hire them, which is a good way to go if you're using a third party like me. The way this all started for those of us, when unemployment's low like this, companies are coming to us to help them fill needs that have never done it before. We're doing strange stuff that we have never done before. We're working with clients that we have never worked with before because they can't post and pray and find people. Or they've done it and they've turned it over, and they've done it and it hadn't worked, and they've done it and it hadn't worked. Yes, we give advice. It still says consulting up there.
Right.
Boy, that thing is little. I gotta fix that. Blow that up. Do me a favor, can you take one of these and pass it around, please? And we'll play with that. If you know what it is, don't tell anybody, but everybody gets one. But we'll tell you about that in a second. That's our newest toy. It's kind of fun. It does say consulting. I'll be glad to help you. Most of my staff probably can't, but call me. I'll give you all my business card. Networking, where to network. Y'all, the only thing I ever got in trouble with in my entire life is talking too much. I got in trouble when I was 9 years old, when I was 15 years old, when I was a senior in high school. I spent the last 2 years in study hall at White Station High School on the stage with Coach Floyd because I wouldn't shut up in 6th grade study hall. And so what do I do for a living? I talk to people all day, every day. It's absolutely fabulous. So if you're standing in line at the grocery store, does everybody have a business card? For God's sake, please tell me you got business cards.
Oh, yeah.
I never stop talking. I don't care if I'm picking up a sandwich at Huey's, and I stood next to a girl and we placed her 2 weeks later. She's an executive assistant, also cool. Talk to people, especially for those, I mean, you're hiring, this is peak hiring time for you. This is absolute peak hiring time for you. Your industry is like my industry, is like everybody else's industry. 7 minutes, okie dokie. There are no secrets. And if I had every single open job in the city, I couldn't fill them all. I've got great competition out there. So for you, do you have a network of companies that do what you do? That you can pick up the phone and say, I'm looking. Have you hired everybody you need? Have you seen anybody that you can't hire? Begin to network with, cooperate, y'all. This is the time to cooperate with your co-opetition. I don't like competition.
It's funny because in our industry, a lot of the companies are having the same issue, finding people.
Okay, then get together and get a group of you together.
I think it's not finding people, it's finding good people.
It's finding the good people.
Yeah.
And if you're having trouble, then get 4 or 5 owners together, brainstorm, bring somebody in like me to sit and talk with you about where are the nooks and crannies that you can go look for people. I meet once a month with 3 other women business owners, and we've met together for 6 years. Our businesses are disparate. We do not do the same thing, but our issues are the same. We started because we were all in an owners group together. But if you're having difficulties, especially in your industry, get 4 or 5 your owners together, talk about it, and figure out where you can do outreach. There are 4 or 5 other places that my brain, for that level, but I can give you a couple ideas.
Thank you.
Do you do workshops? Do you
I do not.
facilitate? You don't?
I don't,
Okay.
but I'll help anybody that I can. All right. You know, I've never done a workshop in all this time. 40 years, never done a workshop.
That's the person to talk to right there.
I know.
I can envision that.
Thank you.
want to do it?
Do I want to do a workshop? I don't know.
We like to help people, so how can we help you?
Yeah.
Yes, what are you
help
looking for, Dotty,
Me,
Everybody not.
for your company?
I am looking for companies that are trying to hire people, and I'm looking for good people who are looking for good jobs and who want to work. And for those of you who are hiring, please don't let the millennials don't want to work garbage infiltrate your brain, because they do. They have different needs and different wants. Taking those little things away from them in the daytime ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. There are companies that are making a huge, huge impact on millennials because they're driving everything to the phones. Quick story, and I know I'm gonna run out of time. So it's nothing. Indigo. Anybody heard about Indigo?
Yes.
Okay. So Indigo is a company that is landed downtown. They microbially change seeds so farmers can grow more crops in less water, less fertilizer, more wonderful. I went, great. So what's the first thing they did? Your big family farms are gonna be soon owned by kids with bows in their hand.
Yep.
So what did they do with all of their apps? They drove it to the phone.
Hmm?
They drove drones. So they're attracting an entire new age group on how they work.
Wow.
It's fascinating. There are 700 people. It's the wildest workplace I have ever seen in my life. If you haven't been down there, figure out a reason to go down and look at it. It is crazy. There's not a conference room in the office. They go sit in the kitchen at a conference. It's wild. bring in lunch 4 times a week. I think it's cool. I wanna go to work there. We got great yogurt refrigerator too all the time. It's really cool. But they thought differently. They're thinking out of the box. Where can we get people? They're taking people from every walk of life. It's like you trying to find good people who wanna work hard. And in 3 minutes. And in today's world, the other thing that I would suggest, whether you like it or not, especially, is E-Verify. It's free.
What was that?
E-Verify.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Okay, E-Verify is not 100%, but we have to do it. Tennessee is not a I don't think Tennessee's a
That's what I
mandate.
was gonna ask, if it's mandatory.
I don't know if it's mandatory or not. I'll have to look and see. There are some states where E-Verify is and it is a simple online,
It's some countries.
Social Security check. It's a check to see if they are legally eligible to work in this country.
Yeah. Phone contracts, you can do.
There are ways to ask that question. If anybody is hiring or potentially hiring people who are not from this country and you want the legal way to ask it, here it is. Are you legally eligible to work in the United States for any company for an extended period of time? That's legal.
But it's in most applications, actually. That question is.
That question should be that way on most applications. You can't ask where you're from, you can't ask do you have a visa. That's the way it should be. And if you have applications that you're using at your company, please let somebody like me or a good employment attorney take a look at them, because there's more junk on applications that's illegal right now than you can show us together.
Could you repeat that phrase one more time?
Are you legally eligible to work in the United States for any company for an extended period of time?
We got it on recording too, so we can look it back
Oh,
on
good,
the
thank
YouTube
you.
channels.
All right, I've got 2 handouts for you, and I did give credit. One is from Career Builder, one is from Celerity, and it's about how to hire now, local market being tapped out, some places to go, to look. Everybody got a little blue thing?
We do.
Yes.
Anybody know what it's for?
No.
Somebody did.
It's for your
Cell
phone.
phone.
It is, it's for your cell phone.
I know.
Yeah, so put it on your desk and stand your cell phone up in it. So I've been doing what I do for 40 years. And the one thing that I have told my staff and anybody who's come through my office, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Anybody got a question for me?
Just do you have your card?
I do.
Yeah,
I got business cards I'll pass around.
I do have a
Yes,
question. What do you specialize in as far as
Yeah.
placing
I
people in jobs?
place primarily people in human resources, information technology, accounting, marketing, some sales, and then I personally do not-for-profit placement. This year I've placed, last year, 2 development directors and 2 executive directors. So I do some not-for-profit work. There's a 2-pager, and if you run out of those, I brought 20 of each, I think.
Do you have any extra of those little blue thingies? We were missing 2 people.
Uh-oh, if,
The McDonald's can do it just for you. Might have
Give it to Taylor, it's Taylor's birthday today.
Oh.
happy birthday. No, I'm sorry.
and Lynn, Joe, if you run out and need some more, come to my office, I have hundreds. Thank you, guys.
All right, what about that, huh? Everybody give them a round of applause.
Thank you.